G'day folks. Well, I got the engine out, but oh dear, we've got a bit of a problem. I was undoing the flex plate bolts off the converter, and I was sort of jiggling it around a bit, and actually before I even started to undo the bolts on the converter, I had a screwdriver just to get it round in position, and I noticed that I had, at first I thought, what the hell, I got a bit of end play in it, and the more I got looking and playing around with it, I've ended up, I've got a lot of, turns out I've got a lot of crank float, and I've actually, this was yesterday when I pulled the engine out of it, and I never sort of had a chance to put a vid up any sooner, and yeah, it's really bad. I've got about 80 thou. I'll show you here, guys. You can see it in the vid there, look. 2.3 mil of play. Now, I've done a lot of ringing around and searching for clues and information. It's nothing to do with the engine. The engine's was fine, but it turns out I've either got one of two problems or a combination of problems. One guy reckons, I talked to my automatic transmission builder, the one that did this gearbox around 7 years ago, and they're a very switched on crowd, and the gearbox has absolutely been incredible, and he seems to think that the converter that I've got in there is ballooning slightly. And I got sort of talking to another fellow in the transmission. These are gurus, and he reckons it could be a combination of a slightly ballooning converter, or they call it excessive line pressure, and that sort of forces the converter forward and can create a lot of wear on your thrust, which my thrust is through here. There's an old video I put up a bit over a year ago, 18 months ago I think it was, and I actually was checking end play, and I had a dial indicator set up on it, and I only had sort of around 4 or 5 thousandths clearance movement, and was just checking it before going any further with it. And yeah, look, it's terrible. Look actually what's happened here. I'll zoom in on it, and you'll get a bit of a, it's actually hit the girdle here. I'm not sure if you can see it in the vid, but it's actually blued that, it's burnt that spot there. It's actually touching when it comes around. So when either the converter's slightly ballooning and pushing, or the actual converter's being forced out of the gearbox, and it's started touching here. So not good, guys. It's actual. I'm not upset over it. I'm actually quite calm and relaxed. And it turns out the crank's junk. You can't repair it. It's only a cast crank. And I got talking to a fella that's from Crankshaft Rebuilders, and he said he can't weld and machine this again, so I've got nice tight clearances. That's the end of that crank. It's basically junk. So I got talking to another guy and about the problem from Come Racing, and he was saying that these scat cranks are a ticking time bomb, whether or not it's just a sales pitch or whatever, but he reckons with what I'm doing with it, I'm absolutely really it's a ticking time bomb. He reckons they let go through here on sort of the number 2 journal. They tend to snap through here a cast crank, and he said for what I'm actually using it for with the turbo and everything and the power out levels, he said you're really pushing your friendship with it. He said over time it'll let you down. So I'm still thinking at the minute, guys. I haven't made any big decisions yet. I've always wanted to. So the plan was to buy that other block, the Little Paw block, which would ultimately be the ultimate block for what I really needed. I was going to go for a billet crank and slowly assemble it all and go with that. But the more I think about it, the more I feel that, well, see this crank here, if I replaced it, and I have to get a bit of machine work to suit it for the it's got a different sort of, it's got a neoprene seal. I have to get that machine. That's nearly $1,000 to do all that. I think the cranks are around $700. You may get them a little bit cheaper, but around that figure. So it's going to cost me around $1,000 just to sort of get this thing going again, which is okay, but I've still got a cast crank at the end of the day. And if I want to upgrade eventually for my other block, and I really want to go a billet crank, because I do plan on really amping things up with the revs plus some extra boost. So I was sort of thinking if I put a billet crank in this for now, down the track, get it all sort of up and running again, get it sorted, and then when it comes time with that other block in the near future, I can take the crank out of this and put it into the new block, and sort of, and all the other little bits and componentry. Well, that's my plan for now. So what I want to do then, if I'm going to go down that road, I might get the old motor going again. So I'm going to sort of still thinking I might do a few basic mods, oiling mods, but I'll do it to the old engine that I originally have still got, and it's basically a stock motor, but I would love to breathe some life back into that. Then it gives me a bit of time to save up for a crank for this and sort of get this all sorted again, because I really want to do the internal oiling mods to it, and in my own time build it up again with the good crank, check it all over, do my mods to it. And because these billet cranks at the minute, old mate reckons I can get them for around $1,800, normally $2,700. So I'm half thinking it's not a bad price. So that's what I'm sort of thinking at the minute, guys. I really can't afford just to get it going straight away, but I thought if I get the other motor going, it sort of gets me back on the track at a sort of a lower power level, but that's fine. That's fine. And I can save my coin up and sort of get this going in good time, and I'm not rushing. As far as a converter goes, I definitely need to address the converter, so that'll be a no-brainer for me to get that done, and I really need to sort out the actual gearbox on what's going on, if it is line pressure pushing the converter forward. So yes, it's definitely a spanner in the works, but you've got to adapt and you've got to make decisions based on what happens with these sort of things, and that's life. So it's not all lost. But yeah, look, that's part of it. When you're pushing these things fairly hard, things happen, and it's not the motor's fault. It's been a brilliant little engine, and still is a brilliant little engine. It's just unfortunate that the converter pushed it forward and ruined the thrust, and I'm actually thankful that I caught it early. It could have been an absolute disaster if I'd have sort of left it in there and kept running with it, because I was unawares. And yes. Alright guys, well, the next vid I'll pull these off. I was going to do it tonight, but I'm a bit tired from bloody work and all that, and I thought, well, I'll just let you know what's going on, and yeah, and I'll do that. But the next one, I'll see how the cap's fared up, and we'll just have a little diagnosis on it, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, well it looks like there's going to be plenty more vids, but it's going to be a real mix mash of some oiling mods and a bit of inspection on this and then the other engine. So we'll rustle something up in the next few weeks. Don't worry, I've got plenty of bits. So until then guys, I'll catch you later.